Hey everybody, Hat Creature here. Today I'm going to be giving you my review of Halloween Kills. And no, it is not this one. I am not plagiarizing. See, I'm not just giving you my review of Halloween Kills. I'm going to be showing you the review of somebody who actually wrote basically the complete opposite of my review. It wasn't intentional, of course. It just happened. I was reading this review, and I was actually going to make a video on this one specifically, entirely on this, but then I realized that the more I talked about it, the more I realized that what I love about it is what this person doesn't understand. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to give you my review, and then I'm going to give you this person's review so that you can see the contrast, because it's important to see different opinions and different viewpoints on anything you care about. You can't just listen to one viewpoint. You have to listen to another and then decide what you see. So here we go. Here's my review. Halloween Kills may be the best sequel in the entire franchise. The problem with Halloween until this reboot series was that every writer and the producers couldn't get away from Michael killing his family members. And the problem with this was that it completely veered away from what made Michael truly iconic and terrifying. His presence. Michael Myers is not important. He is a name. He is just a shape. He is the shape. And that is what Halloween Kills focuses on, and why I feel it is the perfect Halloween sequel. See, unlike the other film, Halloween, and Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills does not actually focus on story. It has no overarching ultimate plot. While Halloween 2018 focused on trauma and PTSD, and it was about Laurie, that's a story-focused film. This one, on the other hand, it focuses on themes and concept. Sure, a good portion of the film does focus on Tommy Doyle and his town vigilante squad, but that's more an idea the writers play off and not the point of the film. The entire point of this film is to expand on the real main character of this series. The main character is not Laurie Strode, but instead the shape, Michael Myers. Yes, this movie is about him, not her. She's not actually important in this one specifically. Throughout the movie, you get to see exactly who and what Michael is. You get to see why he's scary, why he's borderline invincible, and at the very end of the film, you realize that you aren't looking at Michael. You are witnessing the awesome and terrifying presence of evil incarnate. At the end of the film, you finally get to see the shape in all its glory. Not Michael Myers, because he isn't real. Michael is just a name, a child who didn't exist. He is something that evil has taken form of, so that people like you and me can understand what they're actually looking at. That's it. This film honors John Carpenter's vision of what the character was originally intended to be in the first film, and that's why this movie is a success. That's why this entire film is filler. That's why left, right, and center, people just get murdered senselessly. Over 20 people die in this movie. And it's all for Michael. It's not for Laurie, it's not for Tommy Doyle, it's for Michael. This entire film is to set up the finale. And that's why this film is amazing. And that's my review on Halloween Kills. If you haven't seen Halloween Kills, I highly recommend it. It's only $5 on Peacock. Hell yeah. You don't even have to go to the theater. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of extra money on snacks and sodas. You don't have to watch all those ads for 20 minutes and then trailers for 15 minutes. Maybe. Anyway, so that's my review. Now I'm going to go over Matt's review. And you'll see the problems. You'll see how it contrasts my own. So, Halloween Kills review by Matt Capola, or Sapola, I'm not quite sure, fails its audience. Now, that's completely stupid. He obviously has not spoken to anyone else who's watched the film. He's only talking about himself, because if he actually looked at what the fans think, he would know damn well that it did not fail the audience. Next up. Hold on, I have to move my notepad. Okay, there we go. Where does one even begin with Halloween Kills? Is it paramount to speak of its content, which achieves the impossible of being so stretched out that it couldn't feel more bloated? Now, that part, actually, funny story. Before I watched the movie, I saw that it was an hour and 45 minutes, and I was like, that's too short. This movie's going to be bad. How can it possibly be this good? Only an hour and 45 minutes. But then when I actually saw the film, it actually did feel like it was being stretched out. And that was before I finished the film. That was before I understood what was going on. What was the point? When I watched it, it did feel like, what's happening here? What's the point of this movie? It just keeps going. Why does it keep going? So this was me while I was watching it. But after I watched it, I understood why I did that, because it's intentional. Or perhaps it's important to focus on its structure, but that would assume there actually is one. See, he's pointing out that the film doesn't have a plot. He's pointing out that the film is nothing, that nothing really happens. There's no story. That's basically what he's saying. And he's saying that the movie fails its audience because of that, because there's no actual story. Halloween Kills seems to stem from the thought of the system failing the innocent. That is one of the concepts and themes that they touch upon in the film with the Vigilante Squad. They touch on it. The film isn't about that, however. That doesn't work, however, when David Gordon Green's latest completely fails its audience. It's basically the setup for the interview. I mean the article. Let's see. That's a spoiler. Good job spoiling it for everybody. Young Hawkins. So Hawkins is the police officer in Halloween 2018. It's the police officer. He's with Dr. Sartain, and then that's when Dr. Sartain kills him, seemingly, and then kidnaps Michael and brings him to the Strode house. That guy. So he doesn't die in that movie, and that's intentional. So in the beginning of the film, this happens. Basically, Hawkins has a flashback to the night he came home, years ago back in the 70s. And in that flashback, when he's trying to arrest Michael, he accidentally fatally wounds his partner. He accidentally kills his partner while trying to stop Michael. He feels bad about it. That's about it. Matt is basically saying that they introduce this plot point, this trauma that Officer Hawkins has. He's been living with it throughout his entire life, but the film doesn't actually focus on it. The film doesn't do anything with his trauma. It introduces it and doesn't do anything with it. But what he doesn't understand, even after finishing the film, is that that's not the point, and it's okay. It's okay that they didn't do anything with it, because this isn't the final film. This isn't even a standalone film. This is The Empire Strikes Back. This is the second film in a trilogy. This is the middle, where you introduce new ideas, and then you finish those ideas in the third film, the final film in the series, where you wrap everything up. You have to introduce concepts and plot points and traumas and characters. You have to introduce all those things first, set them up, and then finish them. And he's basically saying that because they didn't finish it or do anything with it in this film, that the film is a failure. and that they failed the character. But that's not real. Throughout the entire film, you actually get to see Hawkins think about this, and he talks to Laurie about it, kind of, not really. They kind of touch on it. A lot of people, when they do flashback scenes, they kind of have like the reaction to the other person through the flashback, and it's like, oh, you told me everything through the flashback. But you don't actually know that they're being told the flashback. You just see the flashback, so you have to assume that they're being told the flashback, and that's kind of what happens in this movie. But he's saying the movie fails the character because they don't do anything with it. But that's not the point. The point isn't about this character. It creates the illusion of actually getting started. That's actually kind of true. The middle of the movie is kind of the beginning of the movie, if you want to think about the story. If you think about a story, yeah, it takes a while for it to get started, because the movie isn't about story. It's about Michael. And that starts from the very beginning of the film. And he didn't get that. The movie isn't about Tommy Doyle. It's not about Laurie Strode. Right here. Movie's total lack of focus. Remember Laurie, the face of this story? No, she's not the face of this story. Who said that? Who said that she was the main character? Nobody. You? You're lying. You're not lying. You just don't understand. She spends whatever few scenes she has in the hospital after her recent confrontation with Michael. Okay, so she's in the hospital because she's injured. And that's bad? So you're saying it's bad that somebody is injured and the movie is realistically portraying what it's like to recover from a stab wound. You're saying that's bad. She got stabbed in the gut, and she's in the hospital trying to recover from it. So of course she's not going to be gallivanting and trotting and skipping and screaming and shouting with a gun. Ooh, Michael, let's end this. No. She's dying, dude. She's laying in a bed. At one point in the movie, she tries to get up. She tries to go out and fight. She injects herself with some painkillers, and she's like, let's do this. And you're thinking the movie's gonna pick up with her. But no, she doesn't. She falls down. She's injured. She can't move because of this hole in her body, because she's bleeding out. She can't. The movie's not about her, buddy. It wasn't. The first film was, not this one. You would have known that had you watched the film. You would have known that after you had finished the film. Now, it's possible that he hasn't reviewed a lot of horror movies. It's possible that Matt just hasn't seen a lot of horror movies. I went through a whole bunch of his reviews. I didn't see a lot of horror movies in there. I went through 2 pages. I think I saw 1, perhaps 2. But I haven't seen any of the movies he's actually reviewed. So it kind of looks like that he may not understand horror. He may not understand the franchise. Because if he did understand horror movies, and if he did understand fiction, he would have been able to tell at the end of the film specifically that it was not about Laurie. He's basically making a big deal out of something that isn't important. Which a lot of people do. And they get famous for it. And they're called great people by people who don't matter. The fans matter. Let's see. It doesn't help that the shape might as well be the Terminator here. He just doesn't understand. Now, I actually said that, yeah, the shape, it explains why he's invincible. And normally, when a character is invincible, that's bad. There is such thing as a Mary Sue. But the difference between being a Mary Sue, the difference between having a character who just has plot armor and this character is that the characters with plot armor have no explanation. It just happens. Everything happens so that they can succeed. The Mary Sue, they're good at everything for no reason. They just are. They're just super awesome because they are. The difference with the shape is that the entire film is about the shape. And it shows how powerful and terrifying this evil entity is. This entire film is about that. Let's see. As the bodies pile up, the townspeople take it upon themselves to stop the killer. Mob mentality ensues. As simple and repetitive. Halloween Kills actually thinks it's onto something. More proof that he just doesn't understand the film. It's not a film that revels in sheer entertainment. It isn't a modest one either. It's deluded enough to buy into its own devices, insistent that the universe of this story begets the events that occurs here. Note aside from Curtis gets out of this thing looking good. Is that true? I'm trying to think. He said no one aside from Curtis. I don't think that's actually true. I think that's kind of an overstatement or another example of not understanding. Because the people who do survive, they don't survive well. And that's kind of what happened to Laurie. She doesn't survive well. So I think that's just not understanding trauma yourself, buddy. Some get it worse than others, and I think I'm going to stop right there. Can't have too many spoilers. Perhaps gorehounds will get more out of kills at this point, but even that is a stretch. I agree with that one, actually. Yes, this is not a film for gorehounds. There's no gore in this movie, unless you count blood. There's a lot of blood and classy kills, but it's not brutal gore, not like something like Saw or something like that. It's not like a Jason movie where he just tears apart people and, you know, stuff like that. It's Michael. He's not like that. And that's basically it. He gives it a D+. And that's it. So, that's my review, and this is Matt's review. My review is basically telling you what the movie is about. Matt's review is telling you that he doesn't understand what the movie's about, and that the movie is bad because of it. But I want to know what you think. Have you seen the film? What do you think about it? Now, yes, the movie isn't for everybody, but if you see what's actually going on, then maybe it'll help. But if it doesn't, that's okay. It's okay if you don't like the movie. Sure. Maybe you like films that are more story-focused. That's fine. That's okay. Everything's okay. Everyone finds happiness in their own way. But it's not okay to trick people into thinking something's bad because you don't understand it. Or you choose not to understand it. Maybe you should watch it several times before telling people something is bad. Try understanding something before just blatantly saying it's bad. I tried to understand Matt. I went through his reviews and tried to understand where he's coming from. I made that effort, but I don't think he made that effort for the movie. But what about you? Did you like it? Did you see it? I don't know. Let me know. Anyway, thank you. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, press that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. I got my new headset, and I'll be playing Dead by Daylight or Prop Night tomorrow. I believe tomorrow is actually the last day for the beta for Prop Night, so I might not actually be able to play it. And if I can't, then I'll be playing The Shape in Dead by Daylight. And, you know, I'll be stalking people and screaming at them, gutting them, and all sorts of fun stuff. So I hope to see you there. And as always, have a great day.